All right, you guys, welcome. Welcome to Lone Wolf Pack Show. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a couple things today, but I've got kind of a technical difficulty right now. I'm having trouble with something because, well, I went and had all these things, these pictures done for you guys so I could show you, and none of them will show up. So I'm just going to have to show them on a screen and switch between them. So I'm going to just do the best I can with what I got. So setting this up, I got to find out where it is, and I'll get with you guys in just a moment. Let me shut this off. So I hope you guys had a good yesterday, whatever that was, whatever today is. I don't even know what today is. Let me get on the screen for you guys so you can see me. I do exist. And there we are. Okay, so welcome, guys and gals. We're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the Orphans Court because the Orphans Court is kind of important to everything that we've done up to this point. And some of the stuff that I've taught you in the realm of this, of learning these things have resulted in, well, kind of more questions for you guys. So I want to see if I can clarify some of those questions for you. And I'm going to start here by, let me go to, I got to go to the full screen. So let me go to the other, sorry, I'm trying to do this. I need to create another screen. I need to move this over. Okay. Move this over here so I can see this, so you guys can see me. All right. So I'll do this here, and then let me share the screen here. Present, share screen. All right. So I wish I was a little bit more prepared for this because I really wanted this to be a better presentation because, well, clearly it's a pretty cool subject that we're talking about. Let me get now, I got to bring up another window because this window isn't up yet. And that window, give me just a second. I got to pull these out, guys. Sorry. So I can see them on the other screen. But today, the Orphans Court is kind of a pretty cool thing. When we talked about how these particular companies can get away with creating something that is kind of like not with our full permission. We're not giving full permission for something, yet it's happening. And so when we are asserting positions, we're asserting our knowledge now that we know. It creates a different perspective and a different paradigm that needs attention. It will need some sort of resolution because it's not going to resolve on its own. I mean, you guys have clearly seen that. You've seen people that have lost stuff, literally lost their entire, their entire house or home or whatever it is, just because they didn't know about something. They weren't privy to how something worked. And so that's kind of what we want to help you guys avoid. All right. I want to give you guys guidance so that you don't do things that put you in positions where you have to act out of, or react, should I say. Okay. So I'm going to talk about, this is not what I'm looking for. Sorry, guys and gals. I am trying to find, there it is right here. This is it, except it's not done. So you're going to have to give me just a minute here. But I'm going to start talking about the Orphans Court itself. And I don't want that. Sorry. You guys don't want to hear me, don't want to listen to me. All right, let's do this. Sorry, guys. I literally had, because the thing I had to have was like 24 pictures up. And I had 24 pictures, and I have to go and make some of these pictures. I have to get some of them. Like, they're all different places, and it's just me, so it's really not easy to go get them. But let's go ahead and start. The foundations, what I'm going to do is talk about the Court of Orphans. And welcome, guys. So we're going to delve into the history of legal institutions that have shaped the modern world today, and we're going to explore unique and vital institution from medieval England. It's the Court of Orphans. This court played a crucial role in safeguarding the rights and properties of orphans. And I'm going to cover its foundations. I'm going to talk about the creation, the expansion, the procedures, and the enforcement by the Chancery. And we're going to talk about societal impact and the financial distinctions between public and private credit. So let's embark on this journey and we'll get going. Okay. So the origins of the Court of Orphans can be traced back to medieval England, established to protect the rights of properties of orphans. Okay. So that was the original intent. The institution was particularly vital in urban areas where trade and wealth necessitated such protection. And the need for such a court became apparent as early as the 13th century, when local customs and statuses began to acknowledge the vulnerability of orphans. Okay. So, well, I mean, there's a lot to be said in that. Okay. Because first of all, it's a lot of this stuff is left up to judgment of other men and women who have pecuniary interests in mind for things. All right. So, I forgot the Tito tribute to Tito.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Cool. Audience be discreet. Okay. So the Statute of Westminster in 1275, and I think, okay, wait. Yep, the Statute of Westminster in 1275 included provisions for the protection of orphans. Okay, it's establishing the legal precedent for their guardianship and their property rights. Okay, why is this important to what we're talking about today? Well, it's important because we have become in the same status as what they've classified orphans as. Okay, many people have classified themselves in a status that is a status of orphans, and there is no rights that exist in that realm of the orphans, or until that status is corrected, because you can't be anybody if you don't come from somewhere. You understand? Like, people need to know that. Like, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. So that's why when we say, like, learn your history, learn where you come from, all of your qualities and traits come from where you come from. But if you don't know where it is, then you're going to continue to wander around and follow other people and say, well, maybe you're my daddy. Maybe you're my daddy. Maybe you're my daddy. And you need to be your own daddy. Okay. So this is the first lesson to be in your own daddy. Maybe we'll change the name of the show. The early statutes laid the groundwork for the comprehensive legal mechanism. I just felt the Jim Carrey moment right there. The early statutes, though, they laid the groundwork for the comprehensive legal mechanisms that would later define the Court of Orphans as to what it was. Okay, and it made sure that the protection of orphans' estates from mismanagement and exploitation, and that can be interpretable. I mean, that can be interpreted whether that was really serving that purpose. I can tell you that if people didn't know where they were coming from or where they were from, then they didn't know where they were going. And so many times people would just end up in situations where, it was not their preference to be there because they didn't know who they were. They couldn't say anything. So in Poor Orphans Court, Cry by MS in 1636, the societal neglect of orphans is vividly described. Okay, so the neglect in the society of orphans was described very, very clearly. The author calls for immediate reforms to safeguard the interests of orphans, and it highlights the need for dedicated court to adhere their miseries. Okay, or to address their miseries. I'm sorry, not to adhere their miseries, to address their miseries. So moving on, in the Poor Orphans Court, again, the author also said that he that shall undertake at all times to speak truth in this age freely from his heart shall be accounted a meddling fellow, and might be better employed. This sentiment underscores the urgent need for systemic reforms to protect the orphans. Okay, so the text not only highlights the societal neglect, but it also the moral obligation to protect and care for orphan children. And the early establishment of the Court of Orphans was a step towards fulfilling that obligation. Okay. Beyond its immediate legal implications, the foundation of the Court of Orphans was also a reflection of a broader societal and economic structures of medieval England. And the growth of trade and common commerce brought wealth, but it also brought a lot of risks. When traders or wealthy individuals died unexpectedly, the children were left vulnerable, and so were the estates, if they had them. The Court of Orphans served as a safeguard against the potential exploitation of these vulnerable children. In other words, it was easy to put them into a public trust and not have to give them anything. That's really what it came down to. Because the people that knew better would place their children in trust and they'd always be taken care of. The ones that didn't know better, well, your kids go over here. And that's really the way it was. It was one way or the other. Okay, so beyond its immediate legal implications, the foundation of the Court of Orphans was also a reflection of the broader societal and economic structures in medieval England. And commerce brought the wealth and the risks. And the court's establishment was not just a legal necessity, but it was also a social one. The burgeoning of middle class and the rise of mercantilism created a need for institutions that could protect property and ensure the smooth transfer of wealth across generations. So the Court of Orphans was one of those institutions. The Court of Orphans is the same as the probate court nowadays, okay? But it was called the Court of Orphans. They don't want it to be out there as a Court of Orphans because it's stereotypical. Like, you guys are going to see so much involvement later on as you get further into this. You're going to see more involvement with the the papacy, the spiritual side of it, and you're seeing much now. I'm going to be doing a video on that, by the way. There's so much crazy things that are coming out very recently with what the papacy is making claim to. Some of those things are like, whoa, okay. Now, I thought it was kind of crazy when they said, hey, we own the entire spiritual world and we're the gateway to God. But when they started doing stuff like saying, okay, we're not only the gateway to God, but we're also the gateway to economics. We're the gateway to poverty. We're the gateway. Like, okay, wait a second. How did you just came in, made a claim to spirituality, and it's something that no one can put their finger on, folks. Think about that. Whatever they say can't be unproven. They got a whole bunch of people that believe it, and they will support it the same way. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying it's a fact of life. It exists as a fact of life. And because it exists as a fact of life, well, it is what it is. We're not going to change it. So the only thing we can change is our own awareness and our perception. And when we do that, we change our ideologies about how we want to handle things. So moving on here. Okay. So the Court of Orphans was formally established in the city of London by the Orphans Act of 1694. Okay. And this act provided a structured legal framework for managing the estates of deceased citizens' children. Okay. So prominent legal figures and city officials like Lord Mayor and aldermen played crucial roles in founding and administering the court. Okay, so let's move up on here. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, I'm off on the pictures, but you guys enjoy the pictures. Over the 17th and 18th century, the court's jurisdiction expanded to include more comprehensive oversight of orphan children welfare, including their education and apprenticeships. Sound familiar? Legislative reforms and increased regulatory measures were introduced to enhance the court's efficiency and effectiveness in protecting the orphan's interests. All right. So that was a big part that played in that. All right. So let's see here. Oh, there's Lord Mayor. There's the one I was looking for earlier. So I'm behind. I'm not showing you enough pictures. So let's see. Let's see here. I'm going to try to get, okay, so historical documents and records. Okay, so there's a church. So I think this, okay, so I think this is where we're at. All right. The text emphasizes the necessity of expanding the court's jurisdiction to cover various aspects of orphan care. This includes, now listen, it includes employment and apprenticeship schemes. How come when someone says, yeah, this is a scheme and it has to do with the government, it's legit. But when people do schemes, it's fraud. You ever wonder that? Like they call it schemes in their own words, in the language of Rome. Okay. And then when they say that we're scheming or doing scheming acts, that's a criminal act. But when they do it, it's just legislation. You like how they define that? Okay. So that's the difference. You guys are down there and we're up here. The Orphans Court, well guided and governed. Long may it continue. And that was the preface to the book. So the expansion of the court's jurisdiction reflected the evolving needs of society. As London grew into a major commercial hub, the number of orphans and the complexity of managing these estates went way up. The courts had to adapt to these changes, ensuring that it could handle the larger caseload and more diverse issues. So who really knows what the fact is? The fact is that they created a situation where they needed something. And that need was like, okay, now we need this and we need to find a solution. So they're like, oh, guess what? We just happen to have that solution right here in our pocket. In fact, it was sitting here the whole time and we didn't even see it. How silly of us. And they break that out like, oh, this is it. Okay, cool. Like, okay, now we got the problem. We fixed the problem, guys. Everybody, we can tell everybody we fixed the problem. We're the hero. You're welcome. And that's the way it works. So the one significant change. That's what they do. They literally change your identity because you don't know who you are. So they're going to make you a brand new one. And if you can separate from where someone is comfortable with in their own skin, then they will go and listen because they're not comfortable in that new setting. You're just pulling them out, you're uprooting them, and it's like uprooting a plant out of really nice, rich soil and then dropping it into salt and saying, okay, now you're going to live in here. And the plant's like, it just wilts to nothing. It just dies because it can't live in that same, it's not the same atmosphere. You can tell somebody that it is like, okay, yeah, I'll believe you. When you see that nothing has changed, it's just the same garbage. So we're not dumb. We're not dumb. You wouldn't be listening to me right now if you were dumb. Not because I'm super smart, but because what I'm telling you is something that's outside of the box. It's not just your streamlined thinking. And when you start thinking outside the box, you start realizing that, well, 2 and 2 doesn't equal 16 like they're telling you. And they've done a pretty good convincing job of saying, yeah, it is 16. You just got to keep adding more 2s, but don't mind the ones that we just left out. Just look at the first 2, okay? Don't mind the ones we left out because those are they're not relevant. But if you don't bother to know what relevancy is, then you never do anything about it. And that's where we end up like eating our own words. We end up in a position that, we should have never, ever been in, but we didn't know any better because, well, it just is what it is. We just ended up giving away rights because we didn't know better. All right. So now we're going to fix that matter. We're going to make it all good. And we're going to change slides because, let's see. Officials in robes. So I got to find some officials in robes. All right, here we go. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. The officials in the robes, the clowns in gowns for your display. Now, these, you guys understand? I want you to understand. You notice that these gowns that they wear are the same ones that are here that are the same ones that you have in graduation, right? And if you look at the graduation cap, it is the same pattern of Saturn, Saturnalia, the top of Saturn. And that's what it represents. And these guys are wearing black robes to signify the black Saturn. That's what it is. So that's their own little gang and group of people. Okay. So detailed procedures were established for the administration of orphans' estates, and they included appointment of guardians, valuation of inventory of estates, and regular reporting to the court. Guardians were required to post bonds. Believe that or not, they were required to post bonds and provide detailed accounting of their management of the estates. So here we come into Corpus Juris Secundum, American Jurisprudence, Second, Book 39, Guardian-Ward Relationship. And you're talking about a situation where you subordinate yourself through your contracting and you agree to be something. The selection of one thing is the elimination of all others. Okay. So once you guys, like, you can't have, well, maybe you could, maybe in a polygamist family, you could have multiple wives, but most of the time your wife isn't going to be okay with it. And neither is the other one or the other one or the other one. Most of the time. Okay. There are situations out there, and these people are very, very good at mind stuff. Okay. I'm not going to go into any more detail in that because this isn't about that. I'm just saying that much of this is just a picture that you've been provided of how something looks. And you've been told over and over that this is what this is, this is what this is, this is what this is. And the significance of each of those things that were signified in that identification process were not exactly, well, some of them were way off. Some of them were like, they're saying like, I'm a 10 at 2, and really they're a 2 at 10. If you've been to a bar, you understand what I'm saying. So it's not what it is. It's not what it seems it is. And when you go to bed with Bo Derek and you wake up with Bo Diddley, there's a problem, right? Like, we all got to be aware of like the things that we're doing. And that's just part of that, is just having equity eyes, having your eyes open where you can see things that are happening, things that are going on. I haven't seen questions in here yet, but I will get to them. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and finish talking to you guys. So, this is the court's officials, including recorders and clerks. They played a crucial role in maintaining accurate records and ensuring compliance with legal standards. Recorders often senior barristers or solicitors. Okay, did you guys hear me? Recorders, clerk of court, recorders, often senior barristers. They were the top of the top, or solicitors. So they were a top of the top of their group. And they oversaw legal proceedings and safeguarded the interests of orphans. So when you guys go there and they say, I don't know what you're talking about, they are lying dogs. They're lying dogs, and they don't deserve to be lying dogs, man. Notable cases handled by the court provide insight into its operations and impact. And these cases often involve disputed guardianship or mismanagement of estates. And that highlights the court's role in adjudicating complex family and property issues. One notable case in the estate of a wealthy merchant who passed away, leaving behind 2 young children. The appointed guardian was suspected of mismanaging the estate and using the funds for personal rights. And the court intervened in it and conducted a thorough investigation and ultimately replaced the guardian with a more trustworthy individual. The cases not only protected the children, but their inheritance, but also set a precedent for how a court would handle similar issues in the future. Okay. Let's see here. Case documents. Let's see here. I think this is it. This will be it. Okay. So case documents. And then. Oh, no. I take that back. Okay. So we're just going to stay here. Okay. Another significant case involved a large estate left to an orphaned daughter. And the girl's uncle was appointed. I'm sorry. The girl's uncle was appointed as her guardian, but he didn't give her the education and well-being that she needed. So the court stepped in and ensured that the estate was managed properly and that the girl received the education and care that she deserved. And these cases highlight how important the role in protecting like vulnerable people and orphans and widows and such from exploitation and ensuring that their futures were secure. So moving on here, the procedures established by the Court of Orphans have influenced modern legal practices concerning child protection and guardianship. Today, courts around the world continue to follow rigorous procedures to ensure the welfare and protection of minors, a legacy that can be traced back to the practice of the Court of Orphans. Now, when mom or dad lose custody of their child, it's because mom or dad didn't have their own custody of their own estate. It's not because they didn't do something with the kid right. It's because they were a ward themselves, and financially, this deal is not working out. That's all they're saying. Financially, this deal is not working out. Sorry, we're going to have to sever this business relationship. And you guys see it as like, oh my gosh, that's my kid. And they see it as like, well, we need to make sure that this kid grows up and does the things that he's supposed to do that fit with this company. And now you guys have two different belief systems because you have no belief system that is expressed and they do. And everything you've been doing has been conforming with their belief system. Now you become a part of their belief system. It's just is what it is. We're not going to change facts for what they are. Okay. So, let's see here. All right. So the Court of Chancery, with its equitable jurisdiction, often enforce the decisions and customs of the Court of Orphans. And Chancery could include injunctions or other equitable remedies and made sure that the compliance with the court's orders and it protected the orphans' rights. All right. So all these things protected their rights. The integration of Chancery, the equitable principles helped standardize the customs of orphanage, making them consistent and able to be enforced. Legal commentaries and case law from the period illustrate this symbiotic relationship between the Court of Orphans and Chancery. So they kind of merged into one thing where taking care of stuff. Moving on. I don't think that's the right one. Oh, well. We'll just enjoy this for a moment. The text highlights the importance of enforcing the decisions through regular, overnight, and strict penalties for noncompliance. Okay. The constables, overseer of the poor, and beadles, especially if they see any such poor orphans, should presently examine them. And that was from 1636. That was written back in 1636. The constables, overseers of the poor, and beadles, Beadles, especially if they see any such poor orphans, should presently examine them. That's a quote. Pretty interesting. Chancery's role was crucial in maintaining the integrity of the Court of Orphans' decisions. By providing a higher level of oversight and the power to enforce rulings, Chancery ensured that guardians and other parties followed to the legal and ethical standards that were set by the court itself. So, let's see here. Maybe that is the enforcement. Maybe this is it. Okay. One notable example of Chancery's involvement in the case was where a guardian failed to comply with the Court of Orphans' order to provide an orphan with an education. Chancery intervened, issuing an injunction against the guardian and appointing a new one. And this case demonstrates the effectiveness of Chancery in upholding the Court of Orphans decisions. All right. Chancery's equitable jurisdiction allowed it to address issues that the common law courts could not. It included the ability to enforce specific performance, such as compelling a guardian to fulfill their duties, and to issue remedies that were more flexible and suited to the unique needs of each case. You see, people, you aren't getting remedy because you're not going into equity. You're not bringing equity and you're not getting equity. And people that say, well, no, the law doesn't exist are in the law. That's because you're in the law. Because in the common law, you only have so much. And the law says, well, you agreed to this thing. Yeah, we have that record. Yeah, you never repudiated anything. Yeah, we have no record of that. And you're still using our stuff. So everything A, B, and C all say that you agree. So, okay, thanks for agreeing. Like, it doesn't matter what you say. Your actions speak louder than your words. So the integration of Chancery's principles with those Court of Orphans helped create a more comprehensive and just legal system. The approach ensured that the welfare of orphans was not only protected by rigid standards, but also by principles of equity and fairness. So let's see. All right. So moving on, the Court of Orphans significantly, let me see where we're at here. Oh, goodness. Okay. The Court of Orphans significantly impacted society in a lot of ways. And let's break down its influence into 5 parts. All right. So the first one is social impact, economic influence, legal reforms, administrative efficiency, and ethical considerations. All right. The court provided legal protection and ensured that estates were managed in the orphan's best interests, and that prevented exploitation and made sure that proper education and care was given to them, which was the intent, right? The court's oversight helped many orphans or orphan children receive the support they needed to thrive. For example, the court ensured that orphans were placed in homes where they would be cared for and educated rather than being left to fend for themselves on the streets. Again, folks, I want you to know that some of this is an illusion of a problem existing when it doesn't exist in the first place. It's like creating a fear of something because you're like, oh no, this is happening. And then no one says it's not, or no one really cares. Honestly, many of these things that happen, people just don't care. They don't care, so they don't say anything. But when these people that do care and really want to make changes give the information out and no one responds, it becomes what it is. Just like when they send you something and you don't respond, you accept the responsibility. So, moving on and on and on. Anyway, I don't know where we're at, but the court's role in placing orphans in apprenticeship and ensuring education was significant contribution by providing orphans with the skills and knowledge needed to support themselves. The court helped them integrate into the broader social and economic fabric of society. And again, whether that society was created for them or by them is left to interpretation. And I say it's created for them, not by them. They're following along. So they're not really going, hey, we want to have this different. Now, there will be some that break away from the crowd. Thank you very much. That are not a part of that, just don't want to be a part of that mainstream sheeple, like the sheeple community. Like, no thanks. I'm good. The court's role in managing and protecting orphans' estates helped maintain economic stability with families and communities, of course, because they did take a lot of their estates. And, like, if you take someone's estate, they have no wish, right? They don't have a will. They just sit back and accept it. So as long as you're giving them the estate, then guess what? Once they die, then you get the whole thing because they didn't know any better. They didn't know how to preserve it. They just left you as the trustee to trust that you were going to do the right thing. And, well, many people don't exist on paper anymore because of that. And honestly, you exist somewhere. We all exist somewhere. Think about this. In like 300 or 400 years, we may not exist here, but we made our mark here already. So you come from somewhere and you're going like the same. You're connected to a chain somewhere that's just broken. That's all. Um, the court's economic influence extended to the broader community, and it protected estates and ensured proper management. And the court helped maintain, or at least gave the illusion of maintaining stability. The court's decision often had a ripple effect through the community, though, influenced local businesses and trades and the economy itself overall. And by ensuring what estates were managed effectively, the court contributed to the economic health and prosperity of the community, so they could allegedly direct funds where they needed to go. Okay. The court's operations prompted significant legal reforms, including development of more rigorous guardianship laws and enhanced protections for minors. Subsequent statutes and legal precedents built on the court's framework, influencing modern child support or child protection laws. Okay. This is the one I'm supposed to be on right now. So I'm just got here. These reforms included stricter requirements for guardianship, enhanced oversight mechanisms, and more comprehensive legal protections for minors. The Court of Orphans set the standard for how legal systems protect vulnerable children. So the legal reforms initiated by Court of Orphans had a lasting impact on the development of child protection laws. Many of the principles established by the court, such as the need for rigorous oversight and protection of children's rights, continue to influence modern legal systems. Now, rights and, well, they're using rights in this situation, children's rights, because children do have rights because they haven't waived them. They can't. But they're still under this certain set where you grow up for your first 18 years and you've been under this certain set of rules that don't involve any privacy. They're 100% public. And, well, now if you want, the law says you have a choice to go private. But it's like saying, hey, you have a choice to drive this automatic Lamborghini, or you can get in this Ferrari stick shift. And like, you don't know how to drive the stick. So, I mean, one may be faster or something, but if you don't know how to use it, that does you no good. So we got to be cognizant of what's happening. Today, child protecting agencies and legal systems around the world follow the principles established by courts of orphans. And these include ensuring children placed in safe, nurturing environments. Yeah, right. We know that, right? That their rights are protected. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right, 100%. And that their best interests are always the primary consideration. Well, that stuff looks good on paper until you start breaking out all these people that make these rules, that have been involved with a lot of these dishonest things against children or crimes against children as well. So the court implemented innovative administrative processes like detailed record keeping, regular audits of guardianship accounts to enhance efficiency of these practices. And these practices ensured the transparency and accountability. So the intent was to reduce the risk of fraud and mismanagement. But many of you are seeing that that's exactly what's happened. Let's see. All right. Anyway, just enjoy the pictures. By maintaining meticulous records, regular audits, the court monitored actions of guardians and made sure that estates were being managed in the best interest of the orphans. And the administrative efficiency, it was so important to maintaining integrity of the operations within the court. Because, like, you have to have these things that at least give the illusion that they're doing something. Otherwise, that's why the checks and balances was important. But when you just tell people it's checks and balances, checks and balances, checks and balances, but don't look over here, and then you tell them that for decades, well, sooner or later, people don't care about stuff. Which is why I'm going to talk about, on a subject of this, I'm going to talk about CAFRs in the next few meetings. I've actually got a project I'm working on. So administrative practices continue to influence modern legal administrative systems, and many of the similar due to transparency, accountability exist today. All right. So ethical dilemmas were often the main concern for courts, okay? Because the court's idea was to balance legal obligations and moral responsibilities of the orphans or to the orphans. The court's ethical standards influence broader societal norms and legal practices, and it emphasized the importance of protecting vulnerable populations. All right. The ethical considerations included ensuring that orphans were not only provided materially, but also received emotional and educational support. The court's emphasis on ethical guardianship helped shape societal attitudes toward the care and protection of children. The ethical considerations that were included ensuring that orphans were not only provided for materially, but also received emotional and educational support. The court emphasized the importance of providing comprehensive care, and the court influenced broader societal norms and legal practices. So this set a standard for treatment of vulnerable populations, or at least gave the indication that that's what it was to do. The ethical standards continue to guide modern child protective practices. Today, the principles established by the Court of Orphans are reflected in the ethical guidelines and practical practices of child protection agencies around the world. And let's see here. The text provides vivid descriptions of the societal and economic challenges faced by orphans, emphasizing the need for societal or systemic reforms. These children, if there be but a stock raised to transport them thither, the stocks would be kept whole by those that take them to be in their servants. That's straight from that 1636 book. The integration of practical solutions, such as funding for education and care, highlighted the court's proactive approach to addressing the needs of orphans. The court's efforts went beyond legal obligations, focusing on the overall well-being and future aspects of children under its protection. So we have money, public and private credit, and that's what we're going to talk about. The court's decisions often involve complex financial considerations, including management of estates and allocation of resources for the care of orphans. Financial disputes and the valuation of estates were common issues addressed by the court. Let's see here. All right. Public credit refers to the financial resources and creditworthiness of government entities, while private credit pertains to individuals and private organizations. The court's rulings often distinguish between these two forms of credit, with public credit involving state-backed financial guarantees and private credit relying on personal or corporate assets. The text discusses practical solutions for funding the care and education of orphans, including community contributions and allocation of resources from public funds. The money at the inquest yearly may be better so employed than the banqueting, and the great feast money may be better spared this ways than worse spent. 1636 quote. The court's approach to managing public and private credit was crucial in ensuring that sufficient resources were available for the care of orphans. By leveraging public funds and encouraging community contributions, the court was able to provide for children under this protection. And, okay, well, one significant aspect of the court's financial management was the ability to balance immediate needs and long-term sustainability. And wait a second, I want to find you guys. I'm just going to go back to that right now. The court's distinction between public and private credit also help ensure that guardians were held accountable for their financial management. Public funds were carefully monitored, and guardians were required to to provide detailed accounts of their use. This transparency helped prevent misuse and ensured that resources were used effectively for the benefit of some orphans. That's a beneficiary position, right? The principles established by the Court of Orphans regarding the management of public and private credit continue to influence modern practices. Today, child support or child protection agencies and financial institutions, they follow similar guidelines, and they ensure the responsible management of funds allocated for the care of vulnerable children. But they only go by the instructions that the trust says. So remember that, baby without instructions. The court's financial oversight extended to ensuring that guardians do not misuse the estates for personal gain. This required a robust system of checks and balances with regular audits and strict penalties for those in violation of their duties. So wouldn't you guys say you get a tax audit every year? Wouldn't that be accurate? I mean, you could say so. The court's financial practices were not only about safeguarding assets, but also about ensuring that orphans received the full benefit of their inheritances. This included funding for education, health care, and other essential needs. Unfortunately, they didn't teach the orphan how to manage private banking or private business. Today, similar principles are applied in the management of trust funds and other financial arrangements for minors. The legacy of the Court of Orphans continues to influence modern financial practices, ensuring that interests of vulnerable populations are protected. Okay. In conclusion, the Court of Orphans played a pivotal role in protecting vulnerable children and ensuring welfare through comprehensive and legal administrative measures. Its influence on legal reforms, societal reforms, and financial practices has left a lasting legacy that continues to shape our modern judicial systems today. So the historical significance of the Court of Orphans remind us that the importance of protecting rights and welfare of the most vulnerable members of society. So I appreciate you guys joining us on this. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of things here. And I want to bring up, well, some things that are kind of important to what we're doing in this journey. Okay. So you guys, many of you guys and gals have been told that, that things were being done a certain way and that they didn't fit certain criteria, or I'm not real sure exactly what the words were, but I know that people that have been dishonorable in the past and left and taken something, they try to change something that, to say, so they can say, no, I'm not copying what he taught me. Okay. But there's really only one way to do this, and there's only the right way to do it. I mean, it just is what it is. I'm going to be giving you guys, I'm going to be providing you for free. I'm going to be getting a link. I will be getting a link together, and I'm going to be providing to you for free. And this is compliments of people that stole, like people that are thieves, folks. Like, I can only love them even more. So what I say in my response to that, to someone just stealing from me like that, is to teach you whatever they stole. So there's going to be a free class that is going to extend to anybody that wants to join within reason that I can fit you into the class. And I'm going to tell you all about how to do a name change. And I'm also going to show you how to create a separate entity so you can control all of your collaterals that you created. And basically everything that has been offered for sale, I'm giving to you. So you guys can take advantage of that by merely letting one of my admins know that you would like to sign up, and we will be getting a link for that. For now, I just want them to keep track of that, and I'll get you guys into that because it's the beginning stages, guys. It's really something that I can teach because right now, like, it's somebody, like, this is someone that took something to try to keep up with their ego. And fortunately for me and fortunately for all of you that are in the public, I can afford to do this. So I'm going to. And not only that, but I think that it's important that you learn it right. You never want to make a name with the last name first. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. I have researched this thing for many years before I even got with other people that had already been successful. So I'm telling you guys, it's wrong. It's not right. When the name is written with the last name first, that's an indication of the surety, regardless of whether it's first name last first. So what are you going to do? Now you're going to get even more confused because you decided that, hey, we found a better way to reinvent something that was already created so that we can say it's ours. And yeah, you know what? You can say it's yours because it's wrong. So take credit for it all day long, and all those people that you're making them do the wrong way of it, I want you to take that to the bank too, because all of those people are being misled. And, what I'm teaching people, folks, has been tested, tried, and true. It's not like, let's experiment. This is stuff that's already been completely done. This is historical. I can show you the sources of that. The people that stole it, well, they know the sources too, because I gave it to them too. So they'll be the same sources that I'm giving. In fact, you're getting a broken down version of what I taught. So if you want the good version, if you want the upper echelon of that lesson, I'll teach it to you. And again, those two things I'm teaching to you for free because I love you, and because I think you're amazing, and because I think you deserve it. And I think that more people, honestly, I think more people need to hear and see the things that are happening. And yeah, I just think that people need to really see the things that are being put out there. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why you don't want to do it the wrong way, like it's being taught. Because it's wrong, folks. It's wrong. I would never mislead anybody. I told you guys, I was misled myself by someone I trusted, by someone that you guys know. Like, you've met him. I have no animosity against the guy that helped me. I mean, I still went to a cage and stayed in a cage. It didn't change anything. And I have a record that says I did it. Big deal, it's like having a ticket that says you went to Disneyland. Oh, that's great. I got to ride the rides. Oh, yeah, I got a T-shirt too. That's great. Great. I mean, it's no more than a memory, because if I don't turn this into something else that's better than that memory, then it will continue to take advantage of me. And I'm not letting that happen. And I'm not letting other people steal stuff either. So with that being said, again, I'm going to be creating on the website or in the Telegram. I'm not exactly sure yet, but we'll be creating a link. If you guys want to get into this, I will be teaching a free class for those that want to attend. And I will teach you how to do a couple of things. And let me tell you what they are right now so that you can be aware. And I'll be specific because I like being specific. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys first how to act. Not how to act, not really. I'm going to teach you to correct your name. Okay. I'm going to teach you to act as an agent of record. And I'm going to teach you to enforce foreign judgments. We're going to have a class on that, and that's going to be free too. So we're going to teach you to enforcing foreign judgments using the agent as an agent of record. Okay. So you're going to correct the name, be the agent of record, and then you can enforce foreign judgments with that. And I can show you how to make those. Super simple, not hard at all. And we'll have a class on that. So those three things I'm going to give to you guys to unlock your legal power. All right. And this is not legal advice. Again, I'm going to toast Tito.
Mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Okay, you guys, listen, I have had an amazing day today. Aside from being behind on things that I wanted to do, and this stuff is extra. I want you to know, doing this stuff for me, I enjoy it. I do enjoy like doing these presentations for you. I would like them to be better and more complete, and I will get better at getting them more complete. Today I had 3 people that I was helping today that are in some real tough trouble. But I will tell you this, there is some real major progress. So you guys, I'm just going to share this with you, just a brief story of somebody that's in the group. Somebody was going through a foreclosure situation. They asserted all of the things equitably that they should have. They made the records, they communicated with people, and now the people that they communicated with, being the attorney general for the state, it put them in touch with the deputy attorney general or assistant attorney general, who's now told them to get in touch with this other agency who has given them the proper information and the proper documentation. And now they are moving this elderly lady into equity to fix her stuff. And it's just because she's come with clean hands. She's been honorable in all her dealings. She's known what to say about what happened. And you got to learn what happened. You can't just go out there and say, well, I want to do this and this. And it is simple as that, but you have to know what the positions are. There's a whole bunch of roles that exist that you guys don't even know about. And so I'm first on getting people's problems solved, because that's what I'm focusing on. And, I'll tell you guys, I made a comment a long time ago. I'm just going to put this out there because I realize what it was now. I was asked there was a comment. I made a comment a while back on the open mic. I said, I'm not good with your 11th hour problems. Okay. That statement was, I don't want you dropping and dumping your stuff on me. It wasn't that I can't fix problems. Okay. And that's what it was. And I'll tell you what, the guy that stole from me that I'm talking about, that I'm doing the classes on behalf of, it's a dedication, by the way. It's a day of consecration. Next week will be a day of consecration, and it's dedicated to those 3 things for you guys. But, you're not going to come and steal and then say, oh no, this is a different thing. It's not the same thing. It's the same thing. I taught it and it's the same thing. So you're not going to lie to me either. So let's move on beyond the immaturity. You can't have equity that is not equity. So take equity out of any names that you're using if you're not equitable. It just is what it is. You're ruining it for everyone else. And people are going to see that when they get taken from, that it wasn't equitable. And there's a reason why I've been around for over 2 years. And you don't stay here just by like completely screwing people over. You do this by staying with people and sticking with them and their problems. And there's a lot of people that I couldn't help, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of people I couldn't help, but it had nothing to do with what I was teaching them. It had everything to do with their want and their willingness to execute what they were learning. And if they didn't get it, it's because they didn't get it. It had nothing to do with what I'm teaching. What I teach one guy, I can tell the one guy and he'll go and use it and it'll be like, oh, that was just natural. The same thing I'll teach to another guy and it'll be the hardest thing in the world. So to some, it's easy. To some, it's not. And there's people out there that are going to be feeding you full of bull malarkey that's to change and coerce you into doing something that they want you to do. And it's always a sale that, hey, it's better over here. It's better over here. It's not better over there. It's not better over there if everything that they learned came from the source and you're the source. So it's not better over there, folks. If you guys want to go take sloppy seconds from someone else that I've taught, go ahead. I please go. The attitude, honestly, that I have about that is that if you really feel that way about like somehow that I've treated you or someone's treated you, and quite honestly, none of these situations or anything ever have to do with me, because people never contact me personally and speak with me. No one does. Like, it will never happen. I've had maybe 1 or 2 people do that in the past. And even still, people don't want to hear responses. They just want to hear what they want to say, and they want to have their word. They don't want to be equitable about it. They want to come and dump stuff on you and be done. So I say to you, no more. No more. There's only peace here. I'm not going to be doing this forever. So those of you that take advantage of my presence while I'm here, Cool. You know what? And I don't mean to gloat. I'm not gloating on that. I'm just saying that I have learned some really amazing things from some really amazing people. And I am putting those things together in a super solid, like, grouping so that you guys can understand them the same way. And it's very simple. And yeah, so I take it back. I take it back that I can solve all of your problems. No, I don't take that back. I don't want all of your problems. I want you to learn how to handle your own affairs so you can handle your problems. When you give your problems to somebody else to handle, you don't get the experience out of it. And it's the energy that you need, not the problem to be solved. Because once it's solved, well, I'm not saying that the intent is not to solve the problem. Okay, you want to solve the problem, but part of that enduring that experience is part of getting out of something that you see value in, because you don't want to go back there for a reason, because it's not a good place to go, right? It wasn't a comfortable place to be. So when we start learning that, then we're going to realize that things are much, much different, much, much better. So I hope you guys will reach out. If you would, you guys please like the live, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it if you guys would. I'll show you. I'll share the screen with you here. Right here. I'll just share. Well, I can't. Actually, I can. And I will. And I will. Okay, so let's share this. All right, so please like and subscribe. That was a lot of work for that, but like and subscribe with the channel, guys, if you haven't already. I appreciate it. Share the channel with your friends and your family. I appreciate that. We kind of have to get a new group of people together, because when someone comes in and spreads like all this toxic, negative stuff, well, you just got to find people that are interested in really doing the right thing and doing good stuff, and getting rid of people who are just like egocentric. I'm not interested in that type of mentality. I never have been. I never have like really cared for that. And, you know, we all have egos, myself included, but I don't live in that. And, you know, there's things that we do and we react to. Of course, it's natural. We're human beings. We're trying to adapt in a physical world as spiritual beings, and that's not exactly the most compatible thing in the world. So I say to you guys that, just basically use your best judgment when you're dealing with people. If somebody, is telling you something, and, you don't, just do more research, or ask questions. You know what I mean? Like I have, I don't know, I have a lot of people who do reach out and do communicate to me. And when we do communicate, it's beautiful. It's works out great. It's when people don't have communication that they lose. And, it doesn't matter. Like I've discovered in this journey, I can literally take someone that has a billion problems and pull them out of like all their problems, and they will stab me in the back. No doubt. I mean, it's just is what it is. It has nothing, and I've tried every way, but it has nothing to do with it has to do with the energy. It has to do with the experience, because they didn't get anything out of it. They see no value in what you gave. And you pull them out, you get them out of all that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, thanks, appreciate that." And then they crap on you. But that's not what I'm here for. So I'm here to take care of my own stuff, and I'm here to take care of you guys. So those of you that are interested, again, I want to reach out and extend that to you. I want to give you that opportunity. I want you to be involved in your correction of your status and your standing. And I've got other beautiful things that are coming up that are going to be accompanying this. And again, I don't need all this stuff. I don't need a lot more of this stuff. Like, I have enough of this every day. I can do this every day, but I don't mind helping either. I don't mind helping folks that need help. So you guys have any questions, reach out. Feel free to reach out. I'll put the lonewolfpack.net is up there on the screen now. If you guys have anything that, we can do for you, if you can, if you have anything that you need or you want help with stuff, just reach out to the website and we will get to you. People I know I'm getting messages from people that are being solicited by other people. The only thing I can suggest to you is you just ignore it. Just ignore them. Tell them you're not interested, because I mean that's just dishonor. Nobody should be soliciting other people, especially when you're a leech. Okay, that's it. You're a bottom feeder. Like they call those carp in the water, or gars. Okay, they eat trash on the bottom of the water. So I don't want you guys to. I want you guys to have El Primo, and I'll give you El Primo. So as long as you come back, I give you what you need. With you guys, I appreciate you so much. Have an amazing day, and with that, I yield.